The PL Show is brought to you by Kel Chaco, Kel 360, and Kel Kids Toothpaste. Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. Here on the Kel Toothpaste PL Show, we celebrate phenomenal women. Right here on this channel is made possible by Kel Kids, Kel 360, and Kel Chaco Toothpaste. Today, we get to celebrate another phenomenal woman by all standards. She's a trailblazer. She's a fighter. Does she box as well? We'll get to find out. But she's a matchmaker. In fact, one of the first in this country. I bet you didn't know we have female matchmakers. And that's what this show is all about. Celebrating women who've made giant strides in every field, wherever they find themselves, and keep, shining. And that's what we're about to do today. I must first, before I bring on my guests though, I must give acknowledgement to Glam by Dealer for beating up my face. And of course, right here on the show, if you want anything like that, Glam by Dealer is available to make that possible. At this point is a good time to bring on my guest. She has how many names? About 4 names, and we'll get into each one of them. I'll start with Sarah Lotus Abena Asare, our phenomenal lady for today. Let's welcome her onto the show. You're welcome, Sarah. Yeah, I'm sure you can keep doing it for her as she comes on. I bet you're not coming to box me today.
No, not today.
Are you a boxer too?
I learned how to box, but I'm not a boxer.
Oh, okay, you learned how to box.
Yes.
So you can give some uppercuts. Well, but I'm seeing B for Bukum. Yes. We'll talk about it, right? And this is very nice. What's it about?
It's a book on boxing, but from a heritage perspective for young people to learn about the sports and how important it is for our country, Ghana.
Okay, so we'll get all into it. And that's the author of B for Bukum. And it's about getting started right here on the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. Welcome once again. Good to see you, Sarah. And we'll get talking right away. Please, you can have your seat. We'll be right back after the break. When we return, we are talking matchmaking, we are talking boxing, we are talking fighting. Everything right here on the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. I am Emefa Apawu, and you're welcome to the PL Show. Please do stay.
Anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath.
I'm a fat missy way.
The Pacho Bantama.
Matias.
Her smile, the fresh breath.
Me, Gidi said we use Kel 360 toothpaste. Some kind.
Kel 360 toothpaste.
Gaskia, Kel 360 toothpaste. It's a gum protector. Onim jom kasa. Ine kosen. Kel 360 did the way. It's cool mint, gives me fresh breath, and your confidence booster.
You will see so feeling ye. Kel 360 toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Kel 360 toothpaste, anti-cavity, gum protection, brighter teeth, and fresh breath. Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to the Kel Toothpaste PL Show, and you must have missed the introduction, but of course you haven't missed much because today we are matchmaking. I did something there, I'm sure you noticed. Well, Sarah Lotus Abena Asare. Now Lotus knows if you
My papa is Buddhist. That's his religion. Lotus is like the religious name I was given as
a flower, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a flower that grows in muddy places and makes the whole place beautiful.
Wow, that's why you're making everything so beautiful wherever you are. Yeah. Well, I see that your journey into the area of boxing, you don't really get too many females getting into that arena. Honestly, I was super excited to sit with you today. Like, how did you end up there? I'm told about a story. Please tell us about it.
Well, I've always been around the sports because my dad is a boxing coach. So that's how I grew up. But when I was in the university, I attended University of Ghana. In my 3rd year, getting to final year, we were asked to write 10 papers about our hometown. And I originally come from Ebri, but we don't go to our hometown very much.
Just every year.
Yes.
And you don't go to your hometown. Well,
Not
then I
very
have a
much.
good excuse then.
Yes. So when I was asked, because we stay in Jamestown, one of the things I always see around me are boxers coming to the home, people getting into the ring to fight. So I was like, let me find out what makes people want to fight. And that is how come
So what did
I
you
got
find?
here.
What makes people want to fight?
So many reasons. Some do it for the money. There are some people whose fathers were boxers or brothers and they just want to continue the family tradition.
Okay.
There are some people who have seen that fame makes a difference. So boxing is the path that they pursue to get that fame. So the reasons are different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Well, it's good that you mentioned that you are from a family where your father at least was in the sports. How was it like growing up, you would say?
Well, growing up was really fun. Myself and two other sisters. I'm the oldest one.
Okay.
So
You're all girls.
Yes,
Wow.
we're all females. So it was really nice, a very homey place. And in Jamestown, you know, there are so many kids that you can play with and always running around. That's one of the things that I remember about my childhood.
She ke onwa ke moko je alo moko eshian ye buko me perception ko ye me bemona about such people. Mini G atmosphere, like how was it like growing up here buko?
Okay, maka keshi tumo buko me lele je mewa bona mi no mi ye in da choje me agbado.
Okay.
Me
Moko ye jeme ni over here jeme.
one in town.
One in town.
Yes. She no komeni about me in growing up in Jakeshi. In Nanyan me pini I'm a few ni bi nehi, but wo follow ye alum parents dana make what real. Na me han won the Akeshi. Nibi pi na banya making abo banya me machine akeshika ke nibi aboshika akwebo no te school bo no ni mboko nya he yode e wono jino ko meni ni mean that even though me mpi jo akeshe kule meni yo meke o areas ni member small school alo member kwe ame here kan hye ni ameke wona kan he no jino ni work ni bi ane wo fe e work ntuni e wo no jino ko meni make me akeshe je mo fe amoni ekule eje area ko na akeje me here ni more way he mempi eje meni actually am ojogba. Okay.
Oh wow, that's a good way of demystifying or taking away that impression that people have about Bukum. I must say that some of us, we all have that kind of impression. So you would say that it's made you a different person.
It has.
How would you say growing up in that area and knowing the things you know and getting to this point has actually influenced who you are, you'd say?
So growing up in Jamestown or Bukom area, there's a power in it because you are exposed to so much. It makes you conscious of who you are and the importance of even helping other people. And that is one thing that I'll say has stuck with me throughout. And another thing is that because I know that there are so many challenges in my neighborhood, I always find ways to help other people or to educate people in my community. Like, for instance, one of the things I do with the sports is called Girls Box, that I use a platform to get female fighters to come on the stage, not just to fight, but they also use their uniform to educate on like breast cancer awareness and also teenage pregnancy.
Wow. Well, I know that you went to Vakpo Senior High School. I know about Legon. How did it all start though?
I started my early education at New Order Preparatory School. It's in Amamomo and it's still there.
Oh, it's still there?
Yes, it's still there. That's where I started off, and then after writing my BEC, we were part of the computer placement. I think we were the first ones. So I was placed somewhere in the Volta region. I remember my mom was saying that I should not go, but my dad was like, that's where I've been placed, so I have to go. And it was good. When I went there, I learned how to speak Ewe, a little. Mercury.
Hey,
I tried to immerse myself in the environment, learned how to speak the language. I made so many friends, and even when I went on to tertiary, it's one of the things that made me like interested in like my actual career, which is tourism, because traveling to a different place to study made me realize that there are so many places in our country to explore.
The Kel Toothpaste PL show is made possible by Kel Kids Toothpaste, and Kel Kids Toothpaste is very much affordable. It makes brushing time fun time for our children, and that's from 2 to 6 years. It's strawberry flavored and it's easy for your children to use.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel Kids Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. It makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel Kids. Happy smile.
Well, you're welcome back. This is the PL show right here on this channel, and my guest for today is the very first female matchmaker in Ghana. As a first female matchmaker, does it give you a lot of pressure?
Well, yes, yes, it does, to get other females in the sport, because mostly in Ghana, when you look at the boxing landscape, the women are mostly boxers, or maybe they work in the administration aspect.
Yeah.
So actually, I didn't set out to become a matchmaker.
Exactly.
2 years ago, we wanted to have a charity boxing event. It was called A Fight for Education, where we were raising funds to make furniture for different schools. So when we submitted a thing, then the GBA said, "Oh, we need a matchmaker," but getting a matchmaker is quite some amount, and the show was close by.
Okay.
So they said that, okay, if you can find someone who gets a license, then the person can serve that role. So that's how come I became into the role. And Just like that. And I didn't even know we don't had any females. So after I was licensed, and then the commission said that you're actually the first female to take up this role.
Oh wow, that's interesting. But what does it entail, really?
Okay, so what the matchmakers do, they are the ones that put the show together. When you go to a boxing event, they negotiate the boxers they'll speak to party A and B to agree to fight. They make sure that everything is set up on fight day. Everyone that works on the show, they are like the event organizers. Okay. Yes. For boxing events. So that's what a matchmaker does.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you've been doing this for how long now?
I've done 4 events.
Okay.
For matchmaking. This will be 2022, so just about 2 years, and I've done 4 events.
Wow.
As a matchmaker.
How has it been really in that sector, you'd say?
Okay, I would say that the females we have here that fight, they don't get a lot of attention, which is something that has to be looked at, especially at the amateur level. The country does few competitions, but even with the competitions that they do, the attention is always given to the men. When Ghana is traveling to a competition outside, they'll take maybe about 8 male boxers, and then they'll decide, okay, let's add 1 female.
Okay.
Yes. So one of the things that I did was to speak to some of the association, especially the GBF, and in the last Commonwealth Games they had 1 female go, and that was the first time that a female went for the sports. And when Ghana hosted African Games, Ghana had about 5 females represent, and that is the highest number we've had. It also resulted us to get one of our first boxing medals for females in the country. So
that makes
it's an
you very happy.
Yes, because the women, they work hard and they have to shine. Yes.
Okay. But I know that it's not just matchmaking that you do. You are a promoter as well. You are a manager. And now, before we went on the break earlier, we were talking about B for Bukum,
Yes.
and I can confidently say you're an author now.
I am.
Really, like, how do you wear so many hats?
So when it comes to promoting an event, it goes hand in hand with the matchmaking. So most people combine both roles.
Okay.
But when it comes to like managing an athlete, usually that is, my dad has a boxing gym. And one of the things that over the years we've had an issue with is sometimes you entrust fighters to managers. What the managers do is they ensure that the boxer is well taken care of. They show up to fight, and then they are able to progress in their career. But if people do not understand the sport, then they take decisions that might affect the fighters adversely. So that was when I took my first step to try and see if I can, help an athlete advance. So I started working with one of the boxers. He's called Theophilus Alete, when he turned professional. And within 11 months, he's currently an African champion. He's very dedicated, and it's a team effort. So that's
congratulations.
Thank you.
But when we were growing up, we used to stay up late and watch Zoom, Quote, but these days it doesn't look like there's so much attention paid to boxing as much. I'm sure people will say because you're not following, but really we know when it comes to these things. Do you think that there's something that we are not doing right when it comes to paying attention to lesser known sports, like some would describe it?
Yeah, I'll say that as you just said, boxing is currently categorized as a lesser known sport, but it's actually one of our most successful sports. 10 world champions and over 300 and something boxing medals in international competitions. It's not easy. I'll say one of the things that is lacking currently is competitions and opportunities for fighters to show their skill, and also the lack of investment in terms of to help the fighters develop, because when you go before you go for a competition, you have to train, and when the fighter is training, they have to eat, they have to do so much. And currently a lot of the fighters that fight for Ghana, they have to worry about all that on top of training. So if the government and corporate bodies can pay more attention to the sport and invest, I think that there are so many talents out there that would give Ghana the likes of Azuma Nelson, Aikwote, and Nanaya Okunedu.
Yes. Why do you think people are not really investing in boxing in Ghana?
I would say that it's probably how it's marketed. For all the events that I normally do, I try to maybe put a cultural component or something. For instance, I mentioned the Fight for Education. We did that with Electroland. So we had a lot of people who work within that company, and we also had one, he was a CEO, to exhibit his skills against a boxer. And that's brought that audience to it. So I think that is how the sport is marketed. Sometimes some of the shows, they focus on I'll say the true fans of the sports, who are people from Jamestown and other places. But if we are able to market boxing differently, I think we would attract a lot more eyes.
Well, I think it's a good time to see you in action, because seeing how pretty you sit and very quiet, people would find it difficult actually believing that this is really the sector that you've chosen. I think it's a good time for us to get into 360 segment right here on the Kel Toothpaste PL show, and that segment is proudly made possible by Kel 360 toothpaste. And with Kel 360, it gives you that cool, fresh, minty breath all day long, and it's affordable and safe for use for the entire family. It's FDA approved, and with Kel 360 is always a happy smile. It's a good time to get into 360 for Sarah Lotus Abena Asare.
Meet Sarah Lotus Abena Asare, Ghana's first female boxing matchmaker and a pioneering figure in a male-dominated sport. Growing up in Jamestown, she was inspired by her father, Dr. Ofori Asare, a top boxing coach. What began as a university research project turned into a full-blown career in boxing. Through Wisdom Boxing Promotions, she curates major events like Blood, Sweat and Tears, helping to spotlight Ghanaian boxing on regional and international stages. As Executive Secretary of WBC Cares Africa and founder of Girls Box, Sarah champions boxing as a tool for education and empowerment, especially for young girls. Honored by the Women in Sports Association, WISA, Sarah is on a mission to help Ghana produce a world boxing champion and inspire women to lead in sports, culture, and beyond.
Wow. So it started with you actually doing the training and all that. It looks like I can also join at this point.
Yes.
If only they'll keep my face intact. But really, I see Girls Boxing. Tell us a bit about what's going on with Girls Box and all the fundraising activity you've been undertaking.
Okay, so Girls Box is mainly an all-female boxing event because the females don't get a lot of competition. So in collaboration with the Greater Accra Boxing Association, we came up with a fight night for only women. It's once a year. They come to fight, they are catered, and then they also make some money through the prizes that they make. So how we raise funds is mostly by working with non-governmental organizations like Roots Box Club in Switzerland, and also Clitorias, Mexico. They provide the fighters with equipment and everything because that's some of the things that they would spend money on. Yes, so that's how Girls Box goes about.
That's interesting. What you're doing is really, really admirable. And that's not just it. I know you're the Executive Secretary of also for the BBC Cares Africa, and it does appear that at the heart of it is the advocacy for female athletes and all that. Let's talk a bit about it. How has it been?
It's not been easy because when it comes to especially females fighting in Ghana, parents do not want to see. Even my dad, who is the boxing coach, he didn't want us to really fight when we're growing up. Like, he teach you how to box, so there's that aspect of trying to convince a parent to let their daughters fight. And there are also other challenges with our bodies that may make it a little more difficult. But mostly we just speak to them, and then those that are interested, you give them the support that they need. And the clubs are doing very well. One of the clubs that I have to commend is Akotoku, Akotoku Boxing Academy, and at Okwashi, for instance, they have about 20 girls learning boxing at their gym. So female fighters, it's growing, and I know that in some few years to come, we'll have like very exciting women that can represent Ghana at major tournaments.
But more often, no, you can say obey a boxer. There's also a ding near the intinabia, a detain go for kakra. Is that the case? Like 7% a boxer be showing to see a young female out channel to be able to do so. If you any papa said be and all that. Then pana meet me a ye. Meet me abe joining and ask meet me a boxer.
Okay. Boxing, now one thing I'm best me clarify say Emma banning yedi. Okay. Normally na training no. And I won't say be more for steroids ni sa nyama ne be ma wired no, but say we your ban person on boxing. Now one of the things you can do, or the first thing is say we identify club here or clubs no be brave. You would around Adabraka for now that I know. Several of them are in Jamestown and Bukom, like 24 clubs in that small area. But there's one also around Jowulu. It's called One-on-One Box. And then there's Fifth Square in Adabraka, some in Ashiaman and other places. So depending on your area and what's close to you, approach your coach, tell them about your interest, and then you can start learning. Okay, we don't stand. They'll teach you how to stand in the sport, how to throw your hands, how to protect yourself. You not only be like put into a fight, but they'll teach you how to defend yourself, because like the true, like what is seen as real boxing is hitting and not getting hit. Yes,
that's the truth.
Yes.
Okay, let's just say Obia bit me aye.
Obia bit
me aye. Rules ye.
Oh, name Bruce. In penny for crab bit me aye. You just the last time who said Reggie Roxo now could mix martial arts. We've even had some 65-year-olds who have come to learn boxing. So no matter your age group, once you enter a club, they will tailor the training to your I'll say your needs or what your body can do. Sometimes we even have non-contact boxing, which means that you only work with equipment. You don't fight with anyone. Okay. And that is for like the children, and the children and those who are scared. Okay. Yes. So,
okay. Yeah. I think so. Now, in Kasakakra, Emefa be for Bukum because you who all the things are here na booking in fact Emefa, but Emefa say. And yet female boxers ne way cheap, but me and sure says second edition and the female boxers ne be but eban saying any call be for Bukum.
Senior me draw me one of my 10 papers on boxing. Into me draw and I presented it at a conference, the International Humanities Conference. Into me no. Now me share ways I can make it available to like everyone to read because you know conferences are for academics. Not everyone will be going into conference published documents to read it. And even in Jamestown, a lot of the children, as much as they are learning the sports, they don't focus on the learning part. They only learn the fighting, like how to throw their hands and swerve and all that. So. I wanted to make it more approachable, so that's why I made it in an alphabet form, so that when you pick an alphabet, you link it to either, let's say, a hero in the sport or a skill, so that even if you are not a fighter and you read this, or you are not interested in fighting boxing, you can use this to teach your children about Ghana's boxing history.
So it starts with A for Azuma Nelson.
Yes.
B for Bukum, where it all starts, the heart of boxing in Ghana. And then there's C for Coach.
Yes.
And then there's D for DK Poison.
Yes.
E for Emmanuel Tego.
Yes.
E for Edward Blay. Wow. And then G for Gymnasium, of course. You need a gym. H for the hooks. I think we can try the hooks and then we'll see. Okay. And then we have I for ITO. That's the International Technical Official. Okay. I won't give all away. You need to get a copy of B for Bukum. And it's just all the alphabets when it comes to boxing and then all the heroes as well. But do you see the future really being very bright when it comes to female boxing in Ghana and what ought to be done generally to make it a very conducive sport for our girls?
I think that boxing for women is going to be a good way to go, especially when you look at the global landscape. There are lots of opportunities and ceilings that have not been shattered even for female fights, because recently was when they had one of the first all-female cards in the UK and even in the US. So there's so much to be achieved. If we get in there now, our fighters will have better opportunities to work with global brands and everything. And in terms of what can be done, investment is the key thing. If you don't invest in your athletes, they cannot compete on the same level with other fighters, because when you're about to go for an international competition, some countries, for instance, the Olympics, they start training in 4 years.
Yes.
If you train in the final year of the competition, I don't see you being able to compete against someone who started way before you. So I'll say that corporate bodies and the governments especially, they are the first that can do it. They should pay some attention to the women as well. And recently, there's a lady called Abigail Quarty. She became Ghana's first female world champion on the professional scale. And she won that title here in Ghana. So a lot of girls saw what is possible. And I think that inspiration would like take them, like it to be something that would carry them in their sports, but they need support.
I would want you to look directly into the camera. The camera ni muna katre young Abena, young Ajwa. Our mo shows sia omunyaya left hooks near the footwork near the they would want to do it, but on who said you'll be to me aye and now face so obake bukum o young compatriots who ni yo jame ni kule ameyemi omu there are things that are happening that is preventing them. So in tree and then in Ga, you would want to do that for them.
Okay, they can be in Jibo no kwemi. Neither no liake she boxing and mofiamo banya case boxing. She care of way akashota no case boxing a ya school kono kefita boxing because care or teji many are chomba akashi obama hooks oba defendo e can be a fair. Ejino kone is akashule caught a square bafe. Simple like a coach at Chombo. The Kerkole Bacon Jibo and low Bacon you Jibo no Quaminota no case box na care o follow asusue. Boxing no Aquina baby or mumma mba so ya bofrao we opini ubeti me don wash boxing anymore. And yet the original ring ni more company na ejuma mba betini aye ubeti me be matchmaker to say me ubeti me asian ye boxing coach. Ube training be manning bang now be boo. Another thing so bet me even ITU and now referee and now judge in tea. So we your bar we a penny or bofana beson sian box na train ben club be a ben or na found who shimona a be boa mawenya a jumu fraka de way and your me da say.
Wow, and it looks like I didn't want to end it, but it does appear that that's how we wrap it up. But we are wrapping it up. And like I said, we've been talking about our hooks and our footwork. I think it's a good time to practice it a bit. Well, my gifts have come, but let's do a bit of, show us a bit.
So the main thing is you cannot walk in boxing as you walk at home.
Okay.
Like you see, we walk straight thereabouts, yes. But when they are fighting, you always have to turn at an angle.
Okay.
Yes. Your whether your right foot or your left foot must be forward, depending on whether you're a lefty or
so
a right.
I'm a right, so
yes. And then when you hold your hand,
and I'm grounding,
yes, okay. I'm imagine on that like because if you are standing like this and you are pushed, yes, but this way there's a little bit of a swing in your movement, and that's how they move. So you have to hold your hand and make sure.
So how do you make the fist first? Show me.
Just
like this, not like this, not like this.
Not like this.
Ah, okay.
You have to protect your fingers.
Ah, okay. So you squeeze it inside.
Yes, that way
you are protected. Okay, so like this.
So would be wrap on zanti.
Okay.
Until after the what's on son. Ubet me up. Don't worry, not hit. You can move forward by when you are moving forward. You always have to be on your you don't have to be flat-footed when you are moving.
So it has to be.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so like this.
So don't be flat-footed. So you raise it
like this,
and then you can move forward, and then you bring this one. Your feet must never be together.
Okay. So once you raise this, and then this will come.
Yes. So you move forward, and then one forward, and then the hands join, and then you learn to swing.
And you swing,
and then you swerve and everything.
Okay. So like
you are
this.
Fighting. So if you were to be fighting me, you can try to throw a blow. You can either go this way, or you can even go this way and then.
Oh, then you hit from the back.
Yes.
When you come on me up. One. So I think that's we've had some lessons today on how we can go about it. So that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Kel Toothpaste PL show, and we can't leave you like that. Of course, by kind courtesy of Kel Charcoal, Kel 360, and Kel Kids Toothpaste. Of course, we have Sasso, all from the Samara group of companies. And this is from us to you, and to celebrate you as a phenomenal lady. And so thank you so much for being a part. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We are grateful, Sarah, and continue to be a phenomenal lady.
Thank you very
much. At this point, would you want to sign off for us as we go? I mean, your TV show host in there.
It's been another wonderful edition of the Kel Toothpaste PL show. Thank you for watching, and keep brushing.
Yay! And with Kel, it's always a happy smile. And that's it for today's edition of the show. We are grateful. And also to my guest, Sarah Lotus Abena Asare, matchmaker, promoter, manager, and author. Another edition will come your way same time on this channel. This day, I am Emefa. Apawu, many thanks for your company.